Woo, look at this incredible car. Well, no, not this guy filming. Anyways, hold on. Hey guys, what's up? PJ back with Exotic Car Hacks, and today I am looking at something in front of me that you can't see just yet, and it's a pretty good day for me. Now, I bought this watch literally to match this car. And if you've been following me for a while, you remember the two-tone theme of the only car that was in this garage, and yes, it is back. Now, you might be wondering why it's back, or you might still be wondering what it is. Well, since I was bored today, and since it's almost the end of the Black Friday sale for Exotic Car Hacks, where you can actually get to learn how to get in and out of exotics without losing any money, and in many cases making money, then this happened halfway. First, click the link and learn how to do that. Two, yes, the ultimate Pista is back. When I sold this car, it was actually interesting because I tried to sell it on Instagram and a bunch of mental masturbators were trying to buy it from me for 520 grand and nobody had any money. So don't believe those blue check marks. You know who you clowns are. And then a close friend, someone who actually is learning True Exotic Car Hacks, ended up buying it. And as soon as it left, the day it left, I regretted it. And then I couldn't match my watch to anything else. And so I was pretty pissed off that I basically had lost the only Ferrari I ever loved. You see, I hate Ferraris. Actually, a lot of people don't realize why I hate Ferraris, but I hate them for many reasons. They're very finicky, and they don't evoke emotion out of you when you drive. This one did, and it was the only car that ever did that for me. So then I tried to make myself feel better, and I bought an F12. You saw the yellow F12, which I thought the F12 was the greatest driving Ferrari, and I still do because of the money. Like, I believe that for 200 grand, 250 grand, there isn't a better Ferrari. Now, the Pista, though, is almost 600 grand. This particular one had a 530K sticker, and this is a very, very expensive Pista. Even for those of you that have followed me for a while, I mean, outside of the fact that it has every carbon fiber, the tailor-made, $38,000 shields that are hand brushed on the car, and the fact that the entire front end is carbon fiber, which is how you get this piece that 9 out of 10 cars don't have. Actually, let me do that. Let me rephrase. 9.7 out of 10 cars don't have this piece, which truly makes this car spectacular. It doesn't make it good. It makes it spectacular. It is amazing. And it is the best looking Pista that I have ever seen, anywhere, and I own it. Now, I've owned this for a while. I drove it for a long time, and then I decided I wouldn't drive it anymore because it wasn't that interesting. And so when I sold it, I regretted it, so I decided to buy it back, and therefore here it is. I don't think there's a better looking Ferrari out there than this freaking thing. To me, it's the most glorious and beautiful thing that Ferrari has ever made. The color scheme, the fact that it has every carbon option, it is the way a car should be when you don't have a peasant spec, meaning when you're not on a budget, but rather you want the full experience of the car, which I think makes this car spectacular. Now, we've done multiple reviews of this. You can go back, just check out some of my old videos and see it. But I wanted to talk about what's happening in the car market and why I decided to actually buy this back. The reason I decided to buy this back was because it made sense, right? I mean, like, if the values have gone up and therefore you can buy your old stuff back without having to pay a premium, then you do that because it makes sense. And remember, this isn't about just winning on a deal. It's about the real value of something and buying it under. If you're able to buy a Senna for 900K when they're worth 1.2, it doesn't matter. Then you buy that car because it just makes sense. So it's a game of money. It's not just a game of emotion. And this particular car hit both buckets. It was the most beautiful Ferrari ever spec, and it made sense monetarily. So it is back, and it is probably not going to go anywhere for a while. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is there's a lot of misconception right now about what's happening in the markets, and that the chip shortage perhaps is the reason why people are buying cars and they can't find them, so price goes up. It's basic supply and demand economics, and it's just not the case. There's a lot happening in the car market that people aren't talking about. There's an entire historical era changing, right? Just like when gated 6-speeds were going out and F1s came in, gated 6-speeds went up at the time, you know? There's a lot more money in the world, so there's a lot more demand than there's ever been for a luxury product. And while there were supply shortages, the chip shortage wasn't really the biggest issue that Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, etc. had with their cars. And so this isn't just the reason why things are delayed. You may not know this, but production has been cut significantly across the board based on labor shortages and based on material and part shortages that have nothing to do with chips in general. And so dealers have basically had a slowdown of 2 months and fell behind significantly over the years. And because remember, in Europe, that shutdown was in many cases 6 to 7 months. This created a huge backlog of product and orders that just couldn't be fulfilled. And so the US depreciation model of cars turned into the European model. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you the gist of what people don't understand about exotic car depreciation. You see, in America, when a car hits the dealership, and part of the reason why cars depreciate so fast is because we're a culture of consumerism. And we buy. We lease cars, we get out of them, we keep trading them in. And this flow of constant motion creates money in the market. It creates opportunity, it creates money, and things just work. But you see, in Europe, they don't do that because they don't have this constant financial loophole of being able to finance cars at the level we do here. You could literally walk in a Lamborghini dealership, walk out with a $30,000 down payment and have an SVJ. These are things that don't happen in Europe. They happen in America. So what happens in Europe is that people buy cars and hold them a lot longer because they don't have these easy loopholes to financing, negative equity, this and that, the way the US is basically set up, this culture of consumerism. So what happens though is this constant flow of cars in and out creates a surplus in the market that constantly devalues the cars. So an example would be, let's say you buy a brand new 720S and you pay $400,000 on the sticker. Now, if that car doesn't sell because it's expensive and so many are at every dealership, you can compete on price dealer to dealer, and that's the price equilibrium of economics. So basically, whoever has a better price, it creates a competitive market. The issue becomes that once these cars are basically $400K and one doesn't sell, so dealer A doesn't sell the car, it goes, well, I got an $80,000 margin in this car, and I'm going to forfeit making the 80 because this car's been sitting for a while. So I'm going to cut this car down $60,000. Now someone can buy a brand new 21 for $340 instead of $400. Well, what do you think happens to the 2020 that you bought that only has 500 miles that's sitting in your garage when the 21's discounted 60? Well, now the 20 is discounted 100 because it's used and it's also now 1 year old, even though it's not really technically a 1 year you've had that car. So the point is now your car just went out 100K in value. This depreciation model, this expedited depreciation model, is not expedited because the car is worth less, because usually depreciation on a McLaren for the first year is 18%. But this significant depreciation comes from the fact that dealers who can't sell cars discount cars. And these discounts over the years have forced dealers to keep putting out more money, discounting cars and moving them out. But with the shortage of supply, no new product out, dealers aren't discounting cars. So when you used to walk in Rolls-Royce and automatically get 60 to 80 off, that's not happening anymore. So used cars aren't depreciating as fast either. If you can't buy a new car for less than sticker, then obviously the used car ain't going to go down 100. It'll only go down like 10% or 18%, and it'll still make sense. So values will hold harder. Now, what happens if you can't even buy a car at MSRP? You're forced to consider used, at which point used, if only few cars on the market, can ask whatever they want because there's no wait. So the equilibrium changes from price competition to time competition, which means that simply that a dealer is no longer offering you a car at MSRP because it doesn't exist. A used car is now more attractive because you don't have a 7-month order time of waiting, and if there's a delay, technically 10 to 12 months. Do you wait 10 to 12 months, and what do you drive in between? Well, you drive a used car. And so this is where and how the used market overtakes the new market and what's happening in America now, which is a very common depreciation model in Europe and something that's been happening for decades. And so as we kind of see this, it's very easy to kind of learn the differences between the two. And this is basically what I teach at Exotic Car Hacks, how to read these depreciation models, understand which cars are up, which cars are down, which ones are finicky and which ones are not. So we know that a few other things are happening. The price of money is also changing in this country, meaning that what 100K was back then is basically 150K now, just on the basis of inflation. Now, we also understand there's a surplus of cash coming in the market from people making money in coins and things like that that haven't previously made money. This is important because this means that not an educated customer comes in the market. Unfortunately, I wish you were, and you would join my course and learn so you don't piss away the money you've just gambled and earned in coins. Instead, I wish you would do that and learn from Exotic Car Hacks by actually clicking the link in the description so you can save money on cars and understand how to buy them so you don't lose money. But unfortunately, people are not. And what they're doing is they're actually buying cars uneducated. This is why the RM market and the Lambo markets go up, because your favorite rappers drive Lambos and have RMs. So these are the things that go up because an uneducated base enters the market who previously didn't have the means to purchase and don't understand the flow of money. So what we're going to see in the car market is a temporary slowdown in April because tax bills come due, and then we're going to start seeing a very interesting kind of balance of certain cars coming down and others continuing to hold or go up starting by the summer. So, you know, a lot of interesting things happening in the car markets, but it's not different than what we've seen in Europe. So it's not like I'm guessing what's happening. We're just turning our depreciation model to mimic Europe because manufacturers are making less cars, forcing consumers to basically order them instead of letting them sit on the lots, which is genuinely the biggest difference between the European model and the American one. The American one being that we store a lot of cars on dealership lots and we don't care if they sell because dealers spec cars to hold and to sell to consumers who walk in. However, in this case, dealers can no longer do that, and it's not as attractive for people to trade in because there is no new product. Meaning if someone has a 765 LT, what are they going to buy next to McLaren? If there is no new Senna, if there is no new, whatever, the 780 LT or whatever the fuck's coming out next, that's not out yet. So you have a 2-3 year of backlog of cars that aren't going to come back until new product starts to hit and production ramps up. And that's probably not going to happen because production ramping up isn't as beneficial to manufacturers and it isn't as beneficial to dealers. Dealers are able to get full pricing on their cars now without even discounting $1, something we've never seen before. I bought my SVGA almost 100K off of sticker, but yet today this car is worth 300 over sticker. And so what I'm trying to say is that even if today you had the capacity, which I have ordered a bunch of Ultimates, the next Aventadors at MSRP, even if that capacity was available for all people, right? The problem is that it's not. And people can't get them. But dealers, even if it was available to all people at MSRP, dealers themselves could not order 10 more to have sitting at the lot. So limited production is going to be the reason the car market stays very strong, while there are, excuse me, some cars that are going to drop significantly. So that's kind of what you got to keep in mind if you're going to be playing in the car market. Forgive me for coughing. Apparently, many of you, keep thinking that I'm gay or I suck. Yeah, that's not why I was coughing. It's just kind of cooler today. Anyway, so I was having a really good conversation, and then, I just had to break it apart to kind of hit the trolls. Also, you guys on the last video discussed how you didn't like my glasses because they were white, and I looked gay wearing them, so I thought that was nice. So I wanted to remind you, yeah. Or what was the other thing they said, Reggie? Didn't they say my RM came out of a cereal box? Yeah. Right. Like, I want you to consider something. If you made that comment or you're making comments like that, I want you to consider something really hard. Like, I want you to focus right now, look at me in the eyes, and really think this through, okay? I want you to understand this because I once understood this when I was poor, and then it changed my life. So hopefully it'll help you. Imagine how insignificant you are in the world if someone's watch, that's right, a watch that holds zero value in the world, right? Meaning it has a monetary value, but you don't need this to survive. It's not a great weapon. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't evolve, nothing, right? But imagine how pathetic your life is. Just imagine this. If your worth is less than that of a watch, I want you to think about that. Like, I want you to really think that through. If you're worth less than a watch someone's wearing, think that through. And then ask yourself, why do you even have a minute to comment on a YouTube video? Why aren't you out there working, figuring out how to not make that your reality? Like let that sink in. Let that sink in. Okay? You see where I'm going with this? Yes. You see, there's value in paying attention, and there's also value in understanding to act your wage. It's okay to be poor, but just understand that I was once poor too. And if you're poor, and instead of actually understanding things, you start to basically demonize them, like you demonize money. So many idiots on YouTube are saying you lose your soul because you have money. No, you don't. It's the same argument idiots made on Netflix. I'd rather be happy than have a lot of money. Who said you can't be happy and have a lot of money? I'm incredibly happy. I have a family too. I'm extremely happy. I have a lot of freedom. I have everything you have and everything you don't have. So why do I have to choose between two things when I can be everything? So again, this is the stupidity of poor people. Don't be poor. This holiday season, get smart. Get smart, get educated, act your wage, and change. And hopefully you'll get somewhere. But anyways, so Pista's back. That was my rant about the car market. Click like, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Do you think car values will come back in 2022 or 2023? And are you glad she's back or what? And I'm going to show you again my RM out of the cereal box to basically match the car. See? Baby blue, white. Yes, it can change straps. It's not that uncommon, but that's why it stays like that. So it stays like that because it matches this car and is specifically used for this car. So in second news, my STO is also delayed by a couple of weeks because apparently they can't find enough ships to come from Italy either. Another problem is delaying things, but that's a discussion for another time. So click like, turn on notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.